What's up, everyone? The Arid Lord is here, and welcome back to another Walking Dead vlog. And this is for the finale of The Ones Who Live, entitled The Last Time. And it really is the last time. It really is. This felt, in some ways, this felt like the entire end of The Walking Dead. And I know that's not true because we have the Daryl and Carol spinoff season 2. The freaking Negan and Maggie season 2 spinoff is filming close to where I live, which is hilarious. Actually, fun side note, I actually signed up on the form to be an extra / a walker. So I don't know if it's going to happen because you have to submit a lot of information. You have to submit pictures, whole bunch of stuff. I'll keep you guys posted because holy crap, like if that was to happen, I mean, it's a paid gig. I already have like a 9-to-5 position, but I would just have to work it around, make it work somehow. But yeah, so I know for a fact they're doing that because they're not filming it too far from where I am in Boston. But so yeah, no, this felt like the end of really just The Walking Dead and kind of that larger story. I have mixed opinions on the episode. I'm going to I guess I didn't intend for this to be a channel update, but I'm going to be making another video. It'll be uploaded either Thursday or Friday night. I'm recording this Monday. I'm going to just get it up right after I'm done recording it. Like I said, I was traveling for Easter. This episode came out on Easter, which, given the way the episode ended, very family-oriented, it's kind of a nice, almost way to coincidentally celebrate the holiday of Easter. So, so I thought that was nice. But I am doing a overview post-discussion video with Jeff, The Walking Dead World, on Twitter. I've done many discussion podcast-style vlogs with him in the past. We've predicted a number of things, stretching back to season 9, I think, 10, or maybe it was 10. I know I met him, when COVID first happened and everyone was fucking stuck inside, and I was kind of just chatting with the community. And his account came up a lot. He tweets a lot about the show. And so we did a bunch of cooperative vlogs. And now we're going to do one for The Ones Who Live and just kind of give an overview. But this video is just going to be on the finale itself. I might repeat things in that video with him, but I'm going to say them now. I've had a day to sit with the episode. Which, again, I don't usually do. Usually I watch it and then just a few hours later, usually the same day, I'll make some type of review like this. So I have had some time. I've actually watched a lot of videos of other Walking Dead YouTubers, and I was just really curious for the people that I know in the community, some people I followed from years ago, curious like what their take on it was. And it seems to be the same split, where some people are massively disappointed that the CRM and their storyline did not expand and go beyond the way they hoped. But then there's another half that is happy for where Rick and Michonne ended up at the end of this story. Okay? So there's kind of a duality there. So this episode jumps around a bit. Once they're in the CRM base that they have this echelon briefing at, it's mostly linear. You get a lot of flashbacks in this. And The Walking Dead is not usually one to just slap a scene in your face. Like, oh, hey, remember that scene? Remember this scene? Remember that scene? They do it sparingly. And usually, like, the storytelling format, at least for the regular Walking Dead, would never throw that many flashbacks in your face. Now, The Ones Who Live, I guess, is technically a different show than the regular Walking Dead, Because for the regular Walking Dead, they're counting on you to remember the characters and the storylines and the events. So they're not going to move the mic closer over here. They're not going to just keep spoon feeding you information. But this, and maybe because the episode is the end, it's almost like an ode to the adventures that Rick and Michonne have had. The flashbacks, some of them are pertinent to what Rick talks about, because even Rick, it almost turns into like, not a counseling session, but almost kind of like a, like he's trying out for the job, and it's a review of everything he's done to date. And of course I'm talking about, with General Major Beale, or Major General Beale, because Michonne goes off to Jadis's apartment, where she finds the note that she left in the event of her death. We actually get to see a good portion of the note. There are points in the video where during the episode, you can pause it and kind of read chunks. But she mentions briefly the Saviors, which is she just mentions it as like a warring tribe, a warring group. And then she talks about the Alexandria Safe Zone. She talks about everything you would expect. It's in a cat sculpture, which, again, like another thing that they kind of push in our face. Like, oh, remember at the junkyard when Jadis made these and Michonne looked at it. Or in season 3 when Carl and Michonne find one in a diner that's like all painted. I kind of wish some of the flashbacks didn't seem necessary. Like, again, if you're tuned, like, how can you watch these 6 episodes if you haven't watched all the other episodes of The Walking Dead? Like, you would just be like, who is this guy? Why is he captured? Who's this? Who's that? Why is this? Like, you'd have 1,000 questions if you only watch these 6 episodes. So, I think it's a given that people have followed Rick's story and now they want to see more. But anyway, whatever. And maybe there was more of a point to the flashbacks. But yeah, so Michonne destroys the evidence, and then Rick, again, he kind of has like almost like a job interview, but he's receiving the echelon briefing from Major General Beale. And so, and what it is, everyone was like, what is it? What is it? And it's kind of like the CRM's last secret. And I'm thinking about all the buildup we've had for this group for forever, since we saw helicopters roaming around in season 8, season 9, and then Jadis saves Rick, and then we had to keep waiting and waiting, and then they had World Beyond, which was basically like the CRM's backstory. There was a number of characters we got to follow a group of kids who were living in the Omaha group. And one of the kids' dads was doing zombie experimentation. They mentioned the destruction of Omaha a couple of times in The Ones Who Live, but if you watch World Beyond, you see part of them doing that. You see Jadis trying to justify it. You see some of the characters talking about those events playing out. And so it's nice because it's basically like, okay, like if we wanted like the CRM focused show, like that's it for the most part. I mean, again, it follows the kids and it's season 1 is their journey. Season 2, they're at like the New York testing facility base. So to my knowledge, they have Philadelphia, which is where the CR is, the Civic Republic. They've got the New York testing labs. They had Omaha, but they freaking blew it up. And then they have Portland, which, again, they threaten. So, because at the end of Season 2 of World Beyond, that's like how they have to stop because they're going to basically destroy Portland like they're going to do Omaha. Drop the gas, drop the bombs. But I almost feel like that plot point is repeated in this finale. Because we already in World Beyond Season 2 already did this, where it's like they killed hundreds of thousands of people at Omaha, just massacred them, and now they're going to do the same thing to Portland. And Jadis was, really the main antagonist of that. They mentioned Beale, but they never showed him. There were some soldiers and stuff that were loyal to the cause, and but you already kind of had that plot, and they stopped it. They didn't stop it in the way that Rick and Michonne do at the end of this episode, but they stopped it, and they save Portland for all intents and purposes, and some of the kids actually go. There's like one brief shot of Portland. It's funny because this group, this community has been mentioned a couple of times as like a subsection that's relying on the Civic Republic, but we see it in one brief snapshot in World Beyond. That's it. Because again, like, if there were more episodes, we think to ourselves, they were near, in episode 5, Rick and Michonne were in the Yellowstone Park area from where they fell out of the helicopter. Maybe if there were extra episodes, they could have taken refuge in Portland. And then maybe there's new characters they meet there, and then you care about Portland, so that when Beale and the rest want to blow it up, it's like, oh, okay, shit. Like, on paper, yes. And I will say the scene where Michonne is in the theater, and she's seeing, like, it's just so, like, it makes it the CRM, like, robots. Like, because they're just, like, these kids, some kids will die, some kids will be taken away, we're going to give them comfort objects. Like, they're just talking about them like they're, like, pieces of filing paper. Like, it's just that they're not even human. And just the scrolling images of the kids and the map with what they're gonna do, it's fucked. I mean, this was probably the more effective way to show the horror of what they can do. I mean, you didn't have this level when you saw one brief scene of them killing some people in Omaha. You never saw the actual destruction of it. Other than, I think, isn't there one scene when, I forget, Kublik is her name, Jennifer. She ends up going to freaking jail. I thought maybe she'd be in this series, but she isn't. The one Jadis tricks at the end of World Beyond, and then she gets arrested. But she was one of the people that led the attack on the Omaha base. And I think there's one additional scene where she's overlooking the attack, and, like, they blow up a wall, and they destroy the wall, and then they let a herd of walkers go in and just pick everyone off. But it's spooky. I will say, like, it's very spooky. Like, the scene was great itself, where Beale is explaining the Echelon briefing to Rick, and Michonne is in the theater, and it's just like the intensity ratchets up about how evil, sadistic, and, like, especially when Beale talks about marching across the country and it's like an empire. I was just like, yeah, they're just gonna like, just destroy, like, seek and destroy, and they have the means to do it. The helicopters and all the stuff we've seen in the series, plus what we saw in World Beyond, like, they're formidable. They are the most formidable force. Add the Commonwealth, Saviors, all of that together, and they don't even match what the Civic Republic can do. And that's why it was like, holy shit, like, how are they going to get defeated? And how is our main characters, and especially our main guy, Rick, how is he going to overcome this? So, I mean, we find out, obviously. But to go back to the Echelon briefing, there were some really interesting notes and beats. The fact that the CRM and Beale believe that after 14 years, civilization cannot survive. And I'm going to have to go back and rewatch, because I don't know if it's a resource problem or if it's a walker problem. What I thought, and this would have been a cool idea, and I'm not sure if maybe it's somewhere, if there's a little bit of truth to it. My thinking was that, like, the walkers that no one has taken out, right? Because, there's been a lot of walkers have been killed over the course of this show. And I've seen some people say, like, how can there even still be walkers, right? Like, there's a set limit, like, they're not reproducing. There's a set number of them. And, you would think that after however many people take them out, or they just can't keep walking anymore because of decay, or inclement weather, or maybe freaking, I don't know, a bear attacks them. I don't know. Well, they can eat a horse, but I don't know. Fucking. But wouldn't all the walkers die out, right? Like, isn't that, now you can't have the Walking Dead without the fucking walkers. But my thought was that when the walkers die, when the wildfire, and I've heard people call it this, the wildfire virus. I don't know if, is that the official term for it? I keep seeing that more and more, even when Jenner was experimenting on it back in the first season. They've never really talked about it, you know? Again, like, there's the experimentations they do in World Beyond, there's some of Jenner's experimentations, there's talks of variant walkers, but there's never someone coming to the table and saying, this is what this is. Even Beale talks about the experiments they're doing. And he's just kind of like, yeah, I hope they find a cure. Like, yeah, I hope something comes of something, of something, of something. Like, I thought Beale had more of a goal with that. Like, I thought there was more to the experimentations with the A's. All the A's that they send away, and those are the people they experiment on, the leaders that they don't want to fuck up their operation. Because you see, Michonne and Rick are absolutely A's, and because of a combination of Okafor and Jadis, and, you know, Rick helping Michonne get in, that allowed them to fuck the system and infiltrate, basically A's infiltrating into the B's and fucking the whole thing up. And it makes sense, right? Like, they want to home grow their soldiers. They want to brainwash them so that they're easier to go commit the genocide and commit all of these acts that Beale and the rest want to do. So I thought that maybe, like, another virus is released, maybe a type of gas when the walkers start to just die out. If the wildfire virus, like, gets to a point where it almost expires, and then it, like, releases a toxin, like, I thought that was why civilization was going to perish in 14 years. I'm like, oh, because, like, that makes sense. Because it's not a resource thing. Because, like, Alexandria, Commonwealth, Hilltop, they've survived for years growing their own vegetables, crops, food. Like, they've been self-sustaining, right? Like, they've rebooted society in a way to, like, they're not scavenging old drugstores and stuff. Like, they're making their own shit. So I'm just curious, like, why? I'd love to know more of his rationale. Why does he think the world will die off in 14 years? Like, what's the reasoning behind it? Okay, so that's one thing. Then he talks about the conquest of them, like, you know, marching across and just, you know, just blitzkrieging everybody. And it seems like once Portland's, they're gonna wither away, right? First it was Omaha, then it's gonna be Portland, and then they're going to, like, completely take over the CR in Philadelphia itself. Which, this is another thing, and I'm gonna say it in my vlog with Jeff. We don't get to see the actual CR. We have a couple of scenes where Rick is in it when he's talking to Esteban. Like, there are some scenes where we see, like, the citizens underneath those the freaking wind turbines. So there are, like, a select few scenes within the actual CR. For the majority it's the CRM, right? But there are a few scenes here and there where Rick is in the CR. And then there's that scene when Jadis and Rick, it's like earlier on when Jadis is talking to Rick about the CR, and they're in that, like, town square area. There's also the guy that works in the stand who made the iPhones with the carvings. So you see a little bit of the life and population of the CR, but we don't get a sense of the people, how they're acting, what they're doing. Also, they mention at the end of this episode a council. Like who the hell is the leadership? Like, I see, those are other things where I'm like, why didn't we see that? Why didn't we see the government of the Civic Republic? Like, we've only seen the military, which is just, you know, a totalitarian force. Like, it reminds me of I'm trying to think, it's almost like a Napoleon. Like, and I'm talking like Napoleon, the French general who crowned himself emperor, because he took the throne by basically saying, I have a massive army, and I'm going to be the army general, and that's how I'm going to rule France. Because I think it was, Charles the 16th, or I forget my history, but it was Charles, one of the Charles, who was king after the French Revolution, and then because of Napoleon's force that he amassed, he's like, I am the government because I have soldiers with guns. That's why. And so that's what Beale and the others do. Like, they're the remnants of the National Guard. Like, it's all the stuff he talks about. Which, by the way, another thing I'd love to see. Like, you add flashbacks to this, right? Of scenes we've already that they've already shown us. Why did they not? He's talking about a civil war between the remaining United States forces in Pittsburgh versus Philadelphia in this civil war. I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is some crazy lore. And how he, led a horde and sacrificed the entire city in order to win, in order to wipe out the remnants of the government and basically then become the supreme force. By the way, is Pittsburgh where they find Princess? Isn't that Pittsburgh? Correct me in the comments. When Eugene, Yumiko, and Ezekiel are going to the Commonwealth to meet up in the train yard in the season 10 finale, don't they go through Pittsburgh? I thought, right? Or maybe it's a different city. I'll have to look it up. I don't know, because in the comics it's Pittsburgh. I don't know if they did Pittsburgh again, because if that's true, I mean, the city was obviously abandoned, it looked like, from those episodes in season 10, but the lore is technically like that's where that civil war happened and those walkers killed everybody. So I don't know. Again, I like the universe connecting stuff, which I don't know if Gimple does, and again, I will get to that. Again, I don't want to say too many things in this video. I want to leave some of it for what I'm going to talk to Jeff about. But I guess to get back, talking about the Echelon briefing, there's a lot of cool things. So, of the cool things he mentions, the 14-year stuff, how he thinks that the CRM projects a resource drain that's going to destroy humanity in 14 years. I think that, and I'm going to have to see how he words it, that there's something with the walkers decaying that, also plays into this. He talks about their army, wanting to slowly take over everything. Basically using that they have the biggest fighting force, he believes, on the continent. And to my knowledge, they have the biggest fighting force in at least the United States. I mean, we've seen a bit of France from the fucking Daryl show. But beyond that, we don't know any other country and what military they have. But in terms of the United States, CRM is the biggest. The biggest. There's nobody... We've touched in every corner of the United States between Fear the Walking Dead, World Beyond, and the original Walking Dead, and now this. We've touched all the major cities. And the Negan Maggie spinoff, now that they're in New York City. We've touched almost every... I think one of the few cities they haven't touched on is Boston, where I live. What the fuck happened to Boston? Come on. You put the freaking CRM's, main hub in Philadelphia. You couldn't have put it in, fucking... I hate the Eagles. Come on. You couldn't have put it in Boston, but yeah, so Beale talks about, their army, the 14-year thing. He also talks about spies being in random communities throughout... And see, this is where I think about the Commonwealth stuff. Was Lance or some of the people that were working for him? I still believe the Designation 2 thing was anyone who didn't buy into Pamela's government. She shipped them off either to the concentration camps, where Negan almost gets shot, and at the end of season 11, or Designation 2, which I don't know how, what's the difference between sending them to the labor camps or Designation 2. But Designation 2 is just they go away and they're on a train and they're never seen of again. And it was always the common belief that they were trading those people to the CRM in some type of neutrality pact, similar to how Jadis was trading. Jadis had her own little agreement, trading people for resources. Same thing for Commonwealth, trading for resources. But if this was an arrangement the CRM was aware of, they probably would have been all right, well, we got to have spies on the inside to make sure the deal is functioning. Lance says this at the end of season 11 when Pamela just strips his power. And he's like, if you get rid of me, certain alliances will fall apart. I'm pretty sure he was talking about the CRM. Why they never specified this is beyond me. Again, like, you have all this world building stuff that you're trying to do, and that's what just confuses me, because at the end of the day, they're billing this as the Rick and Michonne love story, but it's within the biggest lore The Walking Dead has ever seen. And my question, and I'm going to say this, ask Jeff this question. Do you think they want the show and the franchise to continue? Right? Because Scott Gimple is apparently the master of The Walking Dead, master of the knowledge of The Walking Dead. He knows all, he sees all, he plans all. He is the D&D, just like they were for Game of Thrones. Scott Gimple is the master. All right, he let Angela Kang take seasons 9, 10, 11, but for the majority, Mr. Gimple is the mastermind, and he was also the mastermind behind The Ones Who Live. I would ask Mr. Gimple in an interview, Mr. Gimple, beyond the Negan and Maggie and Daryl and Carol shows, which are both getting second seasons, beyond that, how do you envision continuing this universe? Because if you kill off, again, as satisfying as the finale was to spoilers, major spoilers, major spoilers, major spoilers, major spoilers, as satisfying as the ending of Rick and Michonne reuniting with, I legitimately shed some tears. I have only shed tears. The only other time I shed tears in The Walking Dead was when the head Pike thing with Alpha happened. And my reaction's on YouTube for that if you want to see it. Because I didn't think they'd kill off Henry, and they fucking killed him off, and I was so angry. I remember that. That reaction actually got. I remember that got a lot of hits back then. That was when The Walking Dead had like a second wind, because the Whisperer arc was done. I still say the Whisperer arc was done so well, and there was kind of like a rejuvenation. But anyway, yeah, so going back to the whole universe thing, I'd be like, Mr. Gimple, you are the all-knowing sage of The Walking Dead. Other than Robert Kirkman, which I don't even know how much freaking involvement Robert Kirkman... Like, when was the last time Robert Kirkman was ever interviewed or did anything for this? Like, he's doing Invincible. Like, I feel like he ended the comics back in 2019. For him, it's like, okay, my universe keeps... In his mind, he's like, oh, okay, well, as long as more shows keep getting made, like, he's getting royalties, because all of these shows have The Walking Dead in the title, and the characters of Negan, Maggie, Carol, well, not Mr. Dixon. He's a show original, but all these are all characters that were originally in the comics that Kirkman thought of. So he doesn't care, for him, as long as he's making money. But the thing is, how do you continue the universe is my question. Because, and I'll just get to the meat of this. Michonne and Rick blow up the CRM. Okay? They blow it up. They use their own grenades, explosives, and the gas that they're going to use on Portland. Blow everyone the fuck up. They have a fight, Pearl Thorne, which I now know her first name, Pearl. I kept forgetting, what her first name was. Thorne tries to stop them. It's, just her, you ruined everything. Her trying to just, at that point it's over, but trying to salvage what she can, and then Michonne defeats her, and then I guess I wasn't sure, it seems like at the end Thorne's like, here, take the gas mask, Rick, kind of just admitting defeat and admitting that maybe Rick was right, but at the same time it's like, the CRM's destroyed. What are you just gonna get your anger out trying to kill Rick and Michonne? But that doesn't change the fact that the whole fucking base is just fucking leveled. That explosion, holy fuck! I've rewatched that scene a couple of times. It looks like a nuclear bomb. But how? I mean, there's a lot of unbelievable stuff in the fight scenes. First of all, how the hell did Rick and Michonne survive the initial explosion? Michonne cuts open a water tank and then hides under a flag? What? Did we establish that the flag is bomb-proof? At what point? You know what would have been better if there was like a grate, like like underground, like if they like slipped underneath, like a drainage pipe, and that way it just kind of like goes over them. Um, and then they emerge, and then Thorne's there. Like I feel like that would have been maybe a little more believable. Because like they're right there, like they're trying to run away, but then Thorne stops them, and it's like, those things, the grenades are gonna they're gonna blow up, they're gonna blow up, they're gonna blow up, and then and then Michonne cuts open the water tank, throws the flag over them. They jump in. I don't know if they jump inside the water tank or if they just hide under the flag. I have zero idea how they survived that. Zero. My prediction originally was that Michonne was going to sacrifice herself to blow up the base. That was my prediction. Didn't happen that way. But I think in the end that would have been cruel. Again, I've seen some of the interviews. They're like, we wanted to give people a satisfying ending. If one or two of them died, I think people would be pissed. So at least they didn't piss off people in that way. But in terms of continuing the story, continuing the villains, continuing the intrigue, they kind of fucked it up. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you could have still had this happen, like them blowing the whole fucking CRM up the way they did, knowing that the army was centralized for this big echelon briefing, getting ready to destroy Portland, and using that, like, oh, everyone's here in one collective group, we can kill them all in one fell swoop, right? I just feel like, again, some of the things I said in this review already. You could have showed more life inside the Civic Republic. We could have met the fucking council. We could have answered some questions about, like, who are the spies? Where are the spies? Are they in the Commonwealth? Are they in other towns? Where are they? Is there a spy in fucking Alexandria we haven't known about? I mean, what the hell? What happened to Heath? I mean, I'm pretty sure, in my mind, Heath... The fact that he never showed up, it's like, I'm pretty sure he was just traded as an A. That's probably the most likely explanation. He was traded as an A. They experimented on him. He's dead. It's probably... I would love someone to ask Scott Gimple, just so we know, because they asked Angela Kang, and we do see that she's driving, when she saves Rick, she's driving Heath's RV, and they confirm that it's Heath's RV. But it's like, yeah, but why have those Easter eggs, right? Like, I know Corey Hawkins left the show, and it's like, oh, the only way we can explain it away is, oh... How do we explain away characters who get edited off the show? Oh, the CRM. All right, Heath got taken by Jadis and the Junkyard Group, which, again, within the confines of the story structure and the plot makes sense, but they never revisited it, I would have at least liked, if they were showing in World Beyond, like, the experimentation tanks, I would have liked to have seen, like, zombie Heath, and then we could have been like, oh, he was traded as an A, and now he's, fucking dead. But I still think that happens, but they just didn't confirm it. So, but yeah, so they blow up the base, defeat Thorne. Rick, earlier on, he has his one-on-one fight against Beale, which again, like, Beale doesn't put up much of a fight. Like, this is supposed to be the most badass, strongest, like, he is the leader of the most powerful military group, powerful fighting force. Bigger than the Saviors, bigger than the Commonwealth, etc., of all the things I've said. And he, like, their fight scene lasts, like, a few seconds, and Rick gets the upper hand, turns the sword against him, and stabs him and kills him. It's like, I would have, maybe, I'm just like, and to be fair, they cover their ass by Beale being, like, that he likes to be alone during the, when they get to this point, when they're about to, I guess, yeah, you would want some time for yourself if you're going to commit fucking genocide for the second time. Not including what he did in Pittsburgh and all the other stuff. So anyway, so they win. And then a 30-second voiceover clip recounts what happens with the Civic Republic, that, oh, the CR it's come to light what the military has done, and now the council's going to get involved, and now it's like they're a force of good, right? Like Portland and Philadelphia, the two bases that they have left, they said, like, we're going to, airlift people can leave if they want to, like, it's just like all the problems with the CRM, leave. You can never leave. Like, the thing that made episode 1 so good, because Rick was just fucking infinitely trapped. He was trapped for 6 years, and they made us believe it. That's rectified, okay? The fact that the military just had a stranglehold over all of the people in both communities. Military, all their forces were seemingly blown up in that fucking explosion. So that's done. The council is like, oh, we're never going to let this happen again, and now we're going to be a force of good. Like, our helicopters are going to ferry resources, and it's like, oh, okay, and now the Commonwealth has to know about them because, they brought Rick back. I mean, we don't know where that is. That's just a generic field because they got rid of the Alexandria set, so they couldn't film it there, so they just had like a generic place, and I don't know, probably a field near the Commonwealth, I'm guessing. So that's the thing. It's like, guys, you could have made another season. That 30 seconds of them talking about the changes and you could have had Rick been on the Council of Helping, and maybe some people don't want to. I mean, think about when Negan was defeated. The first few episodes of season 9 talked about how the Saviors were not getting along with the other people. Like, what if there are still some loyalist... do I really believe that every single CRM soldier was at that... maybe a majority of the powerful ones, but maybe there are still some rogue ones, other helicopters, other people who were still living in Philly or were at the main base there. They mentioned that the other soldiers, weren't aware of it, or it's like, and technically there is a power vacuum that Andrew Lincoln says in an interview. So yeah, the council is like, all right, we'll, restore order because it's come to light that you guys suck. I'm like, so that's it. CRM's done. The biggest group, that's the problem. How can you go bigger? How can you go, how can you continue the story or go bigger? Because I'm going to say, I will watch the Daryl Carroll, Negan Maggie. I will watch season 2 of both shows. Okay? That's the thing. For as long as this universe pumps out content, I will stay connected to whatever the larger... Look at the Walking Dead fucking universe. It's been on my screen the whole time while I've made these videos, okay? But what is the plan now? Because I thought this was building towards an endgame where everyone was going to unite Avengers style and fight the CRM once and for all, and it would end in one big epic fucking finale, and then you would have the big reunion and all that stuff. And I kind of saw this coming when they said 6-episode limited miniseries. I'm like, that sounds like Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrero wanting to wrap up their characters, right? Because again, they've been in these roles forever. And if Gimple maybe said, hey, we have this 7-year plan, Andrew Lincoln's like, listen, this is a commitment to fly back to America. It was the reason I left the show in the first place. I will give you my time for these episodes to finish the story. People have been waiting 6 years. I will finish the story for them. But after that, And again, in interviews, they haven't completely written off the possibility. They dance around it. That would... Because someone asked, wouldn't it be cool for Daryl and Negan, especially, to see Rick again, now that Rick's home? And Andrew Lincoln said, that would be cool. They're not... The actors aren't shooting it down. They're just being coy. They're like, oh, that'd be cool, but I don't know. They're just, it's not, there's no, yes, there's more of a, sounds cool, bro, but I don't think I can, commit myself to it. So, yeah, see, that's the thing again. I loved the reuniting with the kids was such a beautiful, beautiful scene. I'm so glad they didn't kill them off. That was okay, that was worth the wait. That's why it's so conflicting. Part of this was so worth the wait. The way the episode panned out just in terms of, the tension, the explosion, some of the parts were unbelievable in how they survived, but for the most part, it was super fun and exciting. But it was rushed. It was rushed 6 episodes. Why do... See, Game of Thrones had 6 episodes for its final season, too. Why? I don't know who... who was it? Was it AMC this time? Was it Gimple? Was it the actors, kind of dictating like, hey, we don't want to be in this for 5 years, make it 6 episodes so we can kind of do it, go in, get out, and then be done? Like who decided? Like, I don't understand how you build up a group for so long and then just get rid of them. Like, you've castrated yourself from further Walking Dead content. What are you making now? You can finish the Daryl and Carol and the Negan and Maggie shows. But other than that, like, it also, those stories seem so insignificant, right? Maybe not the Daryl, because Daryl's in another country, right? The French nationalists and stuff, like, they've got kind of, like, the variant stuff is kind of like a separate thing with the French. It seems like, Laurent being this kind of miracle birth. There is some more of the experimentation virus stuff is kind of being explored in the Daryl show. So, like, that, and now that Carol's being brought on board, it's like, okay, there's some intrigue there. But, like, especially the Negan Maggie one, like, it's kind of like Saviors 2.0, Negan working with that chick from Ozark, and, Maggie already got Herschel back at the end of season 1. So, like, where does it go? Where does the story go? Like, I don't know. So that's the thing. Like, it just doesn't seem as big, right? It's like, okay, we already know that there's, like, a super mega, it's like, hey, Negan, guess who's gonna freaking take out your stupid group of saviors? It's because that woman's like, oh, we can rule New York City. Yeah, guess what? If before Rick defeated the CRM with General Beale and his army, they could have gone, I don't know why they didn't. How far is Philadelphia from New York City? They could have tore ass through New York City, wiped out the walkers, used their helicopters to just carpet bombed fucking the Croat and all of those stupid people who followed him. Like, what? Like, guys, when you set the bar here, how can you go down here? I don't get it. I don't understand. And again, like, I don't want to seem like I'm ungrateful, because Andrew Lincoln's acting, the set, the performance, like, it just, there was so much greatness. And I was loving every single week of watching this show so much. I'm like, oh my God, it feels like the old days of watching The Walking Dead, where I'm like, I'm in tune to everything. Like, I'm on the edge of my seat. It's gripping. I'm thinking about it. It's enthralling. And now, not only is it over, it's like over. I really feel like this was it for Rick and Michonne's story. And I've seen, it's mostly the YouTubers that fucking do clickbait bullshit videos. A lot of them are like, hey, there's season 2. There might be a season. It's like, no one has confirmed season 2. Okay? No one has confirmed it. No one. Seriously, it's almost like I feel like they don't want to be mean. It's like, do I have to spell out for you? The CRM is defeated. Rick reunited with Michonne reunited with their fucking kids. There is nothing more to tell, okay? Unless there's some random alien civilization. I don't know, maybe Kirkman's original pitch for the comics comes and takes over the world. But unless there is something else for Rick, or maybe... but the thing is, does Andrew Lincoln really want to film Rick getting reintroduced to all of the characters in Alexandria and the Commonwealth? That would be cool. I would pay to see that. But I don't think that's enough of a draw for him. Like, again, the 6-episode draw to finish Rick's story, that I understand. The scale of the story, that I understand. But I don't see there being anything else. Like, again, the original Walking Dead is already finished. And I've seen, like, oh, there could be, like, a 2.0 where it, like, brings everyone back together. But for what? The CRM's done. You can't do that idea, because the CRM, the biggest group, is defeated. So is everyone coming back to sing campfire songs? Like, okay, cool. Like, I'd love to see a big happy reunion where the curtain closes on everybody. But what's the threat? What is the threat? Is it going to be the variant walkers? Is something about Beale's 14-year plan thing? Is there some ominous truth in that? What is? And I knew, however this ended, I would have questions, concerns, but the one thing I didn't expect was the finality. They made it so clear that this was final. With the CRM being defeated, the Civic Republic, like the voiceover where they just clear everything up in like a minute, and then they reunite. It's like check. Okay, like what else is there to explore in a potential second season? What would you explore? Please answer this question for me. Like, I don't know, what would you explore in a second season? There's nothing to explore. Nothing. Unless you want Rick to chat with Daryl again and chat with Negan again. I'd love to see that. And that's what Andrew Lincoln saw or talked about in an interview. But is that enough to, like, drive the show and the content and everything? Like, I don't think so. We had the fucking Civic Republic, and now they're done. This big group, I spent years. What was an A and B? What were the helicopters? How fucking big were they? Oh my god, World Beyond. They have multiple places. They have an army. Oh my god. And then 6 episodes later, they're done. It's over for them. They got bested because they fucking... And, like, it is logical because even Beale, he's like, goddamn Okafor. Like, you know, because he realizes, because again, like, your system only works for as well as your defectors don't realize what you're doing. And I guess the benefit of Okafor is that he had been there since the beginning. He was involved in the original bombings and turncoated. So he had turncoat in him. So then he turned, you know, basically left that all to Rick, and he tried with Thorne. Because, yeah, that's what Okafor saw. He's like, you two are clearly A's, but everyone else thinks you're B's. I'm going to train you to make the CRM better. Now, what was Okafor's plan? Like, did he want... What would he have thought of Rick blowing everyone the fuck up? I actually would have loved to have seen that. And that was another problem with the fucking 6-episode limited runtime. There were so many characters. Okafor, Nat, fucking Esteban! We saw like one named character from the CR, from the Civic Republic in Philly. It was fucking Esteban working the yeah, hey man, you actually did that shit? Like, he was a goofy guy, big eyes. He gives Rick the information when they're at that picnic table. I want more Esteban. Why did we not get more Esteban? Come on. He was in one episode. Oh, it's the same thing with, yeah. Okafor, 1 episode. Nat, 1 episode. Esteban, 1 episode. I mean, the series regulars, you know, Jadis got multiple. Obviously, Beale only got like half. Even for being the big bad guy, he was only in, I think, 3 episodes. It was 1, 3, and 6. Because the others, you know, again, the majority of this was Rick and Michonne and their love story. But it's like, how... Like, you really needed to check everything off for the boxes. And that was a monumental task to do in 6 episodes. I don't understand this fetish. Please. If my book series ever gets turned into a fucking TV franchise, I need to hear from an executive, like, what goes into the episode count? Because you cut yourself off at the fucking knees because you don't give yourself enough runway to tell everything. And then it's like, oh, but we still need to tell the stories. Let's jam-pack it into this fucking little box and say that's the story. No. And, like, they did it as best they could, which is why it's so impressive, but it doesn't avoid the problem of the fact that you wrapped things up too quickly, which now, like, if you do want a future for the series, you have kind of fucked yourself, because all you can do is explore your existing shows that exist in France and fucking New York, and then you've really made it so that that's it. Like, what other content is there? Like, Tales of the Walking Dead seemed like a failure. Like, I don't see where The Walking Dead goes from here. And that's what I'm saying. This episode felt like it was finale. Curtain close, timeout, done, Fine, and they literally, you could write, and they all lived happily ever after in the scene when RJ, Judith, Rick and Michonne are all hugging and the choppers are flying over. It's like, yay! We stopped the biggest bad guy and we're all reunited. We all lived happily ever after. And for the show like The Walking Dead, where bad shit usually happens constantly, it's nice to have a heroic victory. You know? But I thought that maybe it was gonna come like late, like I don't know. Again, I don't know because again, it's like, hey, we want to conclude the Walking Dead universe. This is it. We're gonna conclude it, and I thought they'd conclude it with that type of reunion, with that stuff. Like that needed to be later after the other spin-offs and the things. But Gimple still wants to do more content. Where are you getting this content? Who is giving it to you? Like, what act are you bringing new characters in? Are you asking fucking Steven Yeun and old actors to do their backstories? Like what? What? I mean, it seems like Norman Reedus doesn't mind being Daryl Dixon until the end of fucking time. I mean, seriously, he's been doing it. He's been doing it longer than Andrew Lincoln, because he was in season 1. He was in every single season of The Walking Dead. And he kept continuing on into... We've had Daryl Dixon every fucking... Because the main show ended in 2022, and then he was back in 2023 for his show, and then now he's going to be in season 2. It is, for my 14 years straight of Daryl playing that role. It's like, man, that's dedication, dude. Like, the only other times I hear of people playing a role for that long, it's like freaking General Hospital, like soap operas, you know? Or it's just daytime television crap. Not like a intense production show where you're sweating and fighting, makeup walkers, and, I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. But it's the thing, Andrew Lincoln, like, he lives in a different country when I get it. There's a lot of commitment, a lot of stuff on his shoulders. Like, it was tough, and I know that there were some ruffled feathers when Carl was killed off. I still wasn't a big fan of the actor, but whatever. But, alright, I don't know where things go from here. I mean, I'm going to talk, I probably spoiled some of the stuff I'm going to talk to Jeff about, but I'm going to get his take, and we're going to talk about some of the same stuff. But it's hard to give this episode a rating, because I loved the episode, but I didn't like the implications of what it did. It ended the show, and it ended the biggest threat prematurely. But on the surface, it was good. So what? I've seen a lot of people giving it I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7. All right? It in and of itself, it was great, but I don't understand what. I'd love to just chat with Scott Gimple. Like, bro, what the fuck? What is your plan for the rest of this universe? Like, I don't get it. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I literally could not tell you. So, anyway, this video has gone very long. But I appreciate you guys if you stuck through this long. And there'll be at least one more video on The Ones Who Live where I talk with Jeff. After that, I don't know. I'm going to have to make an update vlog for you guys. Because I remember I was like, I'm going to at least follow the rest of Rick's story for all of this, and then kind of take a break from The Walking Dead and reassess what was going to be on my YouTube channel. I don't know, could I cover Daryl Dixon season 2 this summer? Yeah, but I'm just going to watch it passively, because I'm going to be like, okay, like, again, like, the mystery is over. Like, my favorite character kind of finished his story and defeated the big bad guy. So it's like, unless there's some crazy-ass Walker variant stuff that Daryl's uncovering with Laurent and the rest, I don't know. And Carol being back, cool. But, I don't know. Anyway, I am tired, as you can tell, which is why I wasn't making this video last night. I'm sorry it took so long to get up, but I had a lot to say, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and those are my thoughts. So, let me know. Peace out. Great. I loved it. On the surface, it was awesome. I fucking loved it. They did so many good things. They did some confusing things. But Andrew Lincoln's acting. This man better get a friggin' Emmy for the stuff that he did in episode 1. He better. I'm telling you, man. This guy better get an Emmy. Do not snub this man. This is his last chance. Don't fucking do it. Alright? No. Actors from Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones can get awards, but the only thing this show's ever been up for is like art. Whatever. Anyway, thanks guys. I'll see you in another vlog. Peace out.